This is what the Biden administration is doing with our tax dollars, folks. Take a look at this.
Hi, my name is Mark, and I use he, him pronouns. You've probably noticed that more and more people are stating their preferred pronouns when they introduce themselves in social conversations, in classrooms, in the workplace, in their email signatures, and on social media. The reason is simple. There is a range of gender identities beyond male and female. In English, many use he, him, or she, her pronouns, but a growing number of people are using different pronouns like they, them, ze, them, ze, here, her, hers, and am. These are called gender-neutral pronouns. They don't specify the gender of the subject of the sentence, and they exist because you can't assume someone's gender just by looking at them. Words matter, and they are powerful tools to convey meaning and connect more deeply with one another. Making incorrect assumptions about someone's gender, that's a microaggression that could be hurtful for individuals who identify with certain communities, such as transgender or queer communities. So, what's the best way to be sure you're using the right pronouns? Just ask. Asking for and using someone's preferred pronouns show respect and help create an inclusive environment.
So the thing that's disturbing about that is that that's not just some like woke person on TikTok. That is the official United States Embassy for Brazil under the Biden administration, putting that out on their account as a PSA to the Brazilian people.
Right, like this is the reputation that we want to have around the globe, is that we go by purrs.
I've never even heard of that.
Is that for people who think they're cats? The best part of this video is the fact that it is the U.S. Embassy, and the American flag was in that video for about 2 seconds at the end, but the pride flag was behind him the whole time. If that's not a representation of how much we are put on a pedestal in this country, I don't know what is.
I also just don't understand the goal here because, one, the message is kind of absurd in and of itself, but also it doesn't seem like the Brazilian people, I don't know a ton about Brazil or Brazilian politics. I don't think they're woke with ze-zer pronouns at that, they probably see that and they're like, these Americans are crazy. They're lunatics. If your goal is to advance diplomacy, why are you pushing extreme, divisive social issues? And it would be one thing if they were standing up for the basic human rights of gay people in a foreign country or something. You can actually have a legitimate debate about whether we should be advocating for those kinds of values. And there's arguments on either side. But to just push woke nonsense in non-woke countries from our official embassies seems not only just a waste, but also counterproductive.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know much about Brazil, but I can't imagine that they're a very wealthy country. So this whole pronoun nonsense coming from the U.S. Embassy to Brazilian citizens who are most likely not doing very well, and again, I could be wrong. It's just
at least compared to the U.S., we're definitely
right. At least compared to us, I mean, it's a telltale sign of a privileged society if you're talking about microaggressions. A Brazilian or somebody in South America is going to look at that and be like, "What are you talking about? I'm trying to put food on the table for my family, and you're talking about microaggressions." Sometimes I think that the downfall of our country is just inevitable because we've become so inherently privileged in the way that we live that we don't have real issues to worry about. So until there's a war or something that is big that genuinely affects us, I just don't think that this is going to change because what is there? We have to find something to fight for. So now we're worried about microaggressions.
I find the concept of microaggressions offensive, right? The idea that gay or transgender people are emotionally fragile, and if you say something slightly a minor verbal tick that's not quite right or somehow suggests that they're different, that they're going to be emotionally traumatized by that, or that it's akin to aggression in any way. I actually think most people in the LGBT community are pretty resilient, and if they're actually vulnerable to microaggressions, then that suggests that they lack the basic emotional resilience of an adult.
Right. It's the same concept with hate speech. I get offended when people, if somebody were to say something homophobic and then they're like, "Oh, that's hate speech." I get more offended at the person saying that's hate speech than I do at the person who's being homophobic because yeah, it's speech that I hate, but this whole idea that I cannot take care of myself emotionally because of my sexuality is actually inherently homophobic. To look at me as anything other than human, and to think that I'm not, strong enough
you need to be coddled.
withstand. Right, and to victimize me like that, it's so frustrating, and I can't deal with it.
I just still am not over this. This is the official Biden administration foreign policy, I guess, is exporting, what are these pronouns? Z, her, xe, xem. It's not even just like her, pers, pers. It's not even just like they, them, which would be cringe in and of itself. But it's like they're like inventing stuff that doesn't even actually exist, except for maybe a few random teenagers on Tumblr or something. And they're exporting that.
Well, can we talk about the fact on how offensive this is to people with actual gender dysphoria?
I would not want
Because
my actual medical condition and transition inflated with whatever the heck that is.
Like, and it's like the they them stuff, the non-binary stuff, the pers pronouns. It's like, if I had gender dysphoria, I know that there are two genders because I'm dysphoric about it. So this whole idea that gender doesn't exist or that we can make up our own pronouns is a slap in the face to people who are actually struggling with gender dysphoria and looking to get treatment for it. And I don't understand why that hasn't been recognized by a lot of these people who are trans. It's like, is this not offensive to you that they're just making up pronouns when you're actually going through something that's a struggle? And half of these people are just saying they're non-binary because they're, in all honesty, not that good looking and want attention. Sorry.
I mean, you're not wrong, but no, I find
I've never seen a good looking non-binary person. I'm sorry.